Hello and welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Samikas Matthews, and I am a mockter, not a doctor, but I've seen some things and I've studied at Keep It Real University. Okay, let's get into it. So today I'm going to be talking about something that is it's not near and dear to me, but it hits very close to home. And that is when mothers keep their children away from their fathers. Now let's talk about it. So as I said, this is a topic that is very hard-hitting for our family because this has impacted me terribly it's bothered us for about the past 18 years. So I paused, like I said, okay, so just to get it out there, I don't know anything about editing. I feel like I have some good material, and I'm simply on here making videos because I think I have some important content to share. But I don't know how to edit, so you're going to see things kind of be weird until I can figure this all out, and I'm going to just learn as I go. But about I would say about 14 years ago, I saw my niece for the last time when she was 5 years old. My brother's daughter. I only have one brother, and he only has one daughter. So she's the only blood niece that I have. I have nieces and nephews on my husband's side, which I dearly love. But obviously, Leah is, so very, 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 very special to us. My mom and I used to have Leah all the time while my brother and his ex-girlfriend worked. And she called after their breakup, called anytime, whenever she wanted to. She, when she was dating again, can the baby come over? I said yes every single time. If I was on my way going somewhere and she called, my husband knew it was a U-turn back to wherever, and we were going to go pick up that baby, and she was going to come with us. That little girl was always with us. My mom had grandparents' rights. We totally adored her, and that was our baby. In fact, it's kind of funny because I was in my mid-30s, I think, at the time that my brother had my niece, and I was going through something very emotional. I was starting to get really concerned because I was getting older, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, pretty soon I'm not going to be able to have baby. So anyway, I'm telling my husband how stressed out I am that I'm not going to have any more kids, and I was thinking about us having one more. We already have 4 at the time, and we still only have 4. But I cried and cried and cried, and my husband says, you know what, do whatever you want, but just know that I'm going to start smoking pot if you have another baby, so that's kind of funny. But then my brother ended up having this wonderful little child that we all adored, and then that was my fix, and I didn't want to have a baby anymore. So she was so important to me, and I wanted another little, toddler running around the house because I was just terrified that I wasn't going to have that anymore. But of course now I have grandkids, and I'm glad I didn't do it, so there's all that. But anyway, as the baby's mom started to get more and more serious about this guy, he started to feel like he could be my niece's dad and discipline her and treat her however she wanted. She was 5 years old, and one time she came over and said he woke her up throwing a glass of cold water on her face. And there was a time that my niece had a really bad breakdown and was crying and was saying how bad that the babies the mom had gone off to the military, and she left my niece with this man and trusted this man that had only been in her life for a year and a half to have my niece. So my niece had, and then after a while she realized the guy was kind of a jerk, but she was stuck over there, and so she had her mom move in with the guy and my niece, and so somebody else was there to watch. But one day she came with us, and she told us some of the things that had been going on and how he was treating her. And when we addressed it, they immediately put a stop to us seeing her anymore. My mom called the cops and said, we'd like to do a welfare check on our niece. My niece had cried to my mom and said, he's so mean to me and I'm not leaving you, Grandma. And she was in the corner crying behind the couch, and she says, I am not going to leave. I'm not going to go anywhere until my daddy comes and gets me and protects me. But we had to take her back, and we were just devastated because this was all in an order, because my mom had grandparents' rights. So all that stuff had transpired. The baby's mom ends up getting out of the military or boot camp. She didn't get out of the military, but she got out of boot camp or something. She was doing something. And she even realized that the guy was a jerk and ended up leaving him. So we went months without seeing her because the guy was mad that we called the cops to do a welfare check on the baby. And they stayed together throughout her duration of boot camp. And when she came back, they were only together for, I think, a few more months, maybe 6 months at the most. And then they were done. But she never let us see the baby. Even after she knew we were right that he was hurting her, she never came back and said, you know what, I'm so sorry for stopping visitation. You were right. He was a jerk. And, you know, please let's resume, let the baby have her relationship with you guys. I got to see her one other time because her sister was so gracious, and she let us, she picked her up and called us and told us, meet us at Starbucks, and I got to see my niece for the last time there. Well, no, there was one other time she had been crying to see the family, and I think when she was 8 or 9 years old. So I think she's about 19 or 20 now, and I haven't seen her since she was 8. That was only one time, and then before that it was 5. And so we have missed out on, and my brother, I'm you notice I'm leaving my brother out of this because, you know, this is his story, and I don't want to speak to the parts that, you know, are related to him. But he tried many times to see her, and she would say he was harassing her. She would do everything to keep my niece from her dad. And my brother, I will say this one thing, he has been brokenhearted about it ever since. But I think what I really want to talk about is what it does to the children, because the same thing happened to my husband. The same thing happened to my husband. There were reasons that my husband's dad left. And even though the situations were different, because my husband's father left but didn't try to see him or didn't try to come back that he knows of. My brother, on the other hand, always was making efforts. And she was always playing games, and because she was bitter and she moved on with her life, and to keep the men in her life that she had, which there were, I think there were 3 marriages. This is her 3rd marriage. And then after finally the 3rd marriage, the guy's probably a nice enough guy, but, you know, who knows the picture that's been painted about our family and the baby. So she's made justifications over there that make it seem like it's okay to keep the baby from us. So she's a grown woman now. But so the impact that my husband has shared with me, and many people, I have a few very close family members that have lived this same experience. The pain, and I'm sure most of you can not most of you, but we all know someone whose dad wasn't in their life. And if you're close enough to them, you get to know their story. You get to know their pain. You get to know their longing as a child. My little niece cried for my brother. I know that for sure because I saw it. Because we were allowed to see her. He wasn't. The girl had, had it out for my brother. The pain is humongous for these children. And there's so many dads that don't want anything to do with their kids, that how could you keep a father from a child when the father wants to be in their lives? Do you know how many children want their dad around, and how many mothers wish they had the dad come and help with the kids because they see their child crying for their father? And then you've got this woman who has her baby's dad wants to be there and is trying, and is she saying no because she's got her life? She's only thinking of herself. She's only thinking. One time when my mother reached out and said, it had been a few years, please, can I talk to Leah? This girl would come around, and when she needed money from my mom to get things for my niece, she'd let my niece have a phone conversation with her, and then we couldn't get a hold of her again until she needed money again. And that's only happened like maybe 4 or 5 times where she needed money, and my mom got to talk to her because she needed money for the baby. But it's absolutely heart-wrenching for these kids. These kids miss their fathers so much, and who knows how the parent is. As I'm telling this story, all these things are coming back. She was stationed in Hawaii. We went and visited Hawaii one time. I found out where she lived, and I knocked at their door. We got a nasty gram on the phone that we saw you come to the house, and we don't want you in our lives. We've done nothing but try to protect the baby that one time, and it made her mad because we went against the man she was with at the time, and she's never turned back on that. She doubled down even though she knew darn well we were right. So I have no idea what my niece thinks about why we haven't been around. I don't know what the mother has lied and said. I'm sure it's been something maybe half truth or maybe not. Maybe she just said, I don't want you to have a relationship with your family. But that little girl, I don't want to cry, that little girl was the light of our lives. I mean, that's my brother is my mom's baby. So the baby's baby was ripped from us. And we're a Hispanic family. You kind of know how the Mijos are, right? How near and dear they are to mom. But this doesn't, it doesn't only rip out the dad's heart, it rips out the child's heart too. And there is so much trauma that comes with them for the rest of their lives. My niece, I'm sure, lives angry at her dad for not being there, probably not knowing at all how many times he's tried to get a hold of her and talk to her because she's moved around being in the military and won't, she disobeyed all the orders. She never gave him his phone calls, his visitation, none of it. She never did any of it. And when my brother would go to court, she would play around, and it just never got resolved. She just kept dodging it and getting away with it, moving. And so it was just terrible, 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 terrible experience for us. But what do you think, guys? I mean, what do you think happens to the children? What do you think goes on with the kids? How do you think this affects? If you've had this happen to you and you were a child, how did it impact you? What kind of things did you experience and go through? I know for my brother, like I said, I don't want to speak too much on his situation, but I know my brother still cries for her. Still cry. He can't, if he hears her name, he can't. There's pictures of my niece all around the house. But it has broken all of us. and you just push it down, you just push it down, you just push it down, and you just can't experience a loss like how do you move on from the pain? I still can't. It's still very difficult to talk to my mom or my brother about this, because we all have so much pain that it's overwhelming for us to talk about it with each other, because the emotions are so raw. I can say it here with you because there's nobody, you don't feel my pain, and because we would all feed off each other's pain and it would just be too much. It was just too big. So yeah, I'm real, I just want to say, if you're a mother that has unless there's, child abuse, unless there's something like that going on, I understand that. Not everybody's situation, child would have had a good situation with their father, but my niece would have. Because he adores her still. He kisses her picture. The man just loves his daughter. And I just want to know, how you feel. I want to know what the ramifications were in your life, because I can tell you, my husband has this. He says, I have a half a page. I don't hardly know who I am. When he turned 18, he did end up going to find his father, and before his father died, they were in contact, for a few years before his father died. But life wasn't easy. And then when a stepfather comes around, that makes it really hard. I'm going to tell you something that I heard. The number one cause of child abuse in the world is when a step-parent enters the picture. Because that parent doesn't love your child the way you do. They just don't. I don't care who you are. I don't care what good, wonderful man or woman you think you have. There's nobody that's going to love them more than their father. And like I said, barring the abusive ones, that's barring the crazies, okay? In a normal situation, there's nobody that's going to love your kid more than you. Nobody. So, ladies, if you're out there and if you think that keeping your child away from their father is something you want to do because you're feeling bitter, please try to put your child before yourself, because they have to live with this horrible reality of the fact that you erased their father from their history. And that's not fair. So, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what else you'd like to talk about. What's going to heal you? What's going to make you feel better? And if you are one of those ladies that's having a hard time putting your own feelings aside, comment down here. It's not easy to admit. It's a difficult thing to say you're wrong because you feel so jaded, or so, is that the word? Or you feel so angry and hurt. But there's ways to fix it. There's ways we can fix it, because we want to fix our children. We want to make our children good enough to where when they go out and start having their own families, they're going to be as whole as they possibly can and live happy and content lives, good, happy, productive lives. So again, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to talk about, and I will see you next time.